Welcome everyone to the Co-Creators Convergence Thursday night Creator Convos. I'm Noelle Marshall and I'm here with my beloved Bob Warner.
Good evening everyone. So happy to have you back, Jodi and Joan. It's going to be a great evening. Thank you.
And thank you all for coming. And we're just going to ask you to keep your video off and stay muted during this presentation, which is going to be awesome. So I'm really looking forward to it. We've had both Joan and Jodi with us before, so I do have had a sneak preview to how wonderful this evening is going to be. So without any further ado, I first want to introduce you to our group, the Co-Creators Convergence. And I'm just going to play a little short video that tells you all about us. So stand by. So welcome everyone to the Co-Creators Convergence Thursday night Co-Creators Call. We have a call every Thursday night and the first Saturday of the month. So I think there's a little gremlins, I think, in my computer today. I know I hit that unmute button. So anyway, I'm really excited to have back tonight Joan of Angels, yay, Joe Hangarter, and Jodi Serota, yay, what a team. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to these two lovely beings who are going to be our host and guests for tonight. So over to you. Thank you so much for coming, everyone.
So it is very exciting to be back on here. I feel like an old timer, so that's pretty exciting. I guess I am an old timer. We've been around for lifetimes, guys. So welcome to tonight. And I'm Joan of Angels. I am an intuitive guide. I'm an oracle and visionary with the sole purpose of helping people remember why they're here, who they are, what their purpose is, and help let go of anything that doesn't serve. So that is my sole mission. In 2013, I was guided by my angels to paint 33 angels in 30 days, thus launching me as also a visionary artist and a channel for divine beings. And so you can always find me at joanofangels.com. I do Miracle Monday every Monday on YouTube, 5 p.m. or on Facebook, 5 p.m. Pacific. We do a lot of healings on Miracle Monday, a lot of DNA activations, and more. And so you can just catch me on my YouTube and on joanofangels.com. So there you have it. But I'm here today also to introduce one of my favorite people, Jodi. And I don't know how exactly she came in my radar. I think I was setting up a Crystal Skull conference and I was told to reach out to Jodi. Little did I know that I would actually fall in love with Jodi and find her energy just so magnetic and just so reassuring, the light language, the way she works with people. So I'm excited that we're going to actually not just meet Jodi tonight, but Greenie, which is her green jade crystal skull. So she's going to tell us all about Greenie, and she also works with Max. But Jodi herself is a metaphysical educator, an Akashic Record Channel. And by the way, I've had an Akashic Record reading with her that was awesome, really amazing, and helped me a lot. So I want you to know that. She's a vibrational sound and light language healer and a professional artist. Her in-depth intuitive abilities and her remarkable sound healing powers are used to create initiations and activations which instantly make major shifts in consciousness and healing. She holds individual channeled Akashic Record readings, healing sessions. She teaches classes and creates multimedia concerts and events for personal growth, healing, transformation, and the creative process. Her work is visual, audible, kinesthetic, and also opens the gateway to the multidimensional heart. She was also the owner and creator of Meta Center New York, which is the multidimensional education and transformational art center. So I'm really excited to have you on tonight, Jodi.
Thank you for having me. Nice to see you again.
Well, the universe wanted you to bring Greenie on so we can all meet Greenie and we can all find out how to connect with our guides, with the light language, and with the crystal skulls.
Right. So today what I'm going to do, I just work off the group that's present, and I have an idea of the intention. I called it the mysteries of the crystal skulls, because it's been a lot of synchronicities for me of how I've come into this with Max, the ancient crystal skull, and then this skull, the green jadeite. It's actually jadeite crystal skull. And when you meet this crystal skull, he tells you to call him Greenie, so you can now call him Greenie. And I believe that these crystal skulls help us to connect to the star systems, and also I'm going to do some activations to awaken people to light language if that's something that they're meant to have. And I believe that has to do with the evolution of our consciousness, all of these things that the crystal skulls help us to be ignited to. So before I begin, though, I'd like to just say a prayer, which I do whenever I do any work, which helps to clear your space inwardly and out, and for me as well. It helps to bring in the angels and the archangels and the legions of them. And it helps you to just kind of open up your heart to receive whatever is available for you and whatever you ask about. So hold an intention right now to just close your eyes first, take a few deep breaths, start to open your heart center, just breathe into your chest cavity. Also imagine that your heart center is actually in all cells, all parts of your being. So that as you're breathing into your heart center, it's also going into every cell, every atom, every part of every molecule, every part of your being, all those different systems. So when you're bringing love into your own being, well, we are that love, we are that source. That's what I believe is the source of God consciousness, God-Goddess consciousness. So as you breathe into yourself, you're just awakening yourself and remembering. This particular green jadeite skull told me, I'll tell you all the stories around this, but it told me that if I were to bring it home, and I'll tell you from where it came, if I brought it home, it would help me and everyone else, anything to do with the heart center, love, passion, purpose, relationships, abundance, prosperity, anything that has anything to do with the heart center, which basically, I believe, has to do with everything. So we're here on the planet, from my perspective, of just to be able to remember that we are the same as source of all things, God, Goddess, all that there is, which is a frequency, an all-inclusive frequency with no conditions. So we're here to remember and come back to that part of to that understanding and embodiment of our soul in physical form that's still always not just connected, because connected would be perceiving it as separation first to connect, but an extension is like your physical body is the home for your soul to live in and express through. And your soul lives in your body. We're here to help everyone to get back into the fullness of the body so that you can feel the anchoring of your connection. I won't use the connection again, the extension of your higher self or your spirit, which is also extended to everything that is of the source of everything that exists. So we're here at this particular time on the planet to remember the truth of who we are, what we're here for, and that it was a good, right, and safe, higher conscious choice to accept consciously now. So now I'm going to say a prayer. Ate Malkuth Vegevora Vegedula Leolam Amen. I hereby banish from my space and all of your spaces all energies which are not appropriate, all psychic jamming, all negative emotional energies and memories which are not appropriate. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Ate Malkuth Vegevora Vegedula Leolam Amen. The atmosphere around us and through us is cleansed and purified and infused with so much love. The atmosphere around us and through us is cleansed and purified and infused with love. The atmosphere around us and through us is cleansed and purified and infused with love. I choose to be a clear, pure, open channel of God's wisdom, love, healing, and light, bringing through the highest vibration of God, Goddess energy, to read the Akashic Records for the whole group that's here as a whole, and to affect your individual Akashic Records. We ask that the records for each one of you and as the whole group be opened now from your record keepers, so that this can be more evidential information, so that it feels right or it makes a difference, whether it's for healing or whether it's for just awakening to something. And I'm going to use a variety of different things. I work with channeled information. I work with vibrational sound and light and healing and light languages, the crystal skull. I work with my art as well as visual vibration. The sound is audible vibration, and the experience is feeling it, kinesthetic. So that there's so many different ways we can receive vibration and information and awakening. So today I'm being told that it's going to be about an awakening. It's going to be about sort of like an initiation to make changes, the necessary changes that your soul needs to make in order for you to come into the next level of your consciousness. So I'm going to use all these different, all these things in combination. And working with the crystal skulls, I was told, has to do with all of them are activated or help to activate what's in them to be able to affect everyone else through sound and color, which is a perfect fit for me to why I would have these connections to these skulls. So because I work with my art through color and imagery and texture and light, but I also use sound and vibrational languages. So I'm going to tell you some of the synchronicities of these skulls. I always found that there's always these unusual circumstances, at least for me, but I found that for other people as well, of why they came into my life. And I'm actually starting to even get more of an understanding now. I just started working with the skulls again. I haven't in a while. Of what they're meant, how I'm able to work with them in a way that's even more tangible. So take a few deep breaths, close your eyes, and go into your heart center, just to breathe and expand that area of your body. And as you breathe, imagine that you're infusing your whole system with life force, oxygen, but feeding your soul. So that as you're breathing, you're also making a choice now from this point on to breathe in what life can offer you and know that it's safe. And that you can, as you breathe in and have opportunities that you are meant to have to be able to pick and choose from in relation to your purpose on earth, it'll help you to awaken more to those parts of yourself to be able to receive through love, which is an all-inclusive unity consciousness even within yourself, to become more aware, to live consciously from a higher conscious perspective. So take a deep breath, and as if you're breathing in all the opportunities that are going to be coming, and also how to work with all of these things, breathing in what life can offer you as the food for your soul, the things that you are, the things that you do, the things that about being, so that you can actually start to direct your life more than you already have. I'm sure there's many people on this call that are already doing that, but we're just going to remind everyone. So as you breathe, you're breathing in what life can offer you, knowing that you can handle it. Knowing that even if you don't think that you can handle it, you won't be able to receive opportunities unless you can. So if you are receiving opportunities, it's your choice to take them or not. There will always be other opportunities for the same purposes, but you can always ask, what's the purpose of me receiving this opportunity now? To help myself and to be in the world making a difference by either being or doing. And just take a few deep breaths. I'm just going to go into doing some activations and things first, and then I'll explain more later so that we have the time to do that. So this particular skull, it told me its name was Greenie, but first it told me it was the green jadeite crystal skull for its professional name. And once you get to see it or be in connection with it, you can call it Greenie. So in a way it looks like it's grinning. So it's like Greenie, but you told me it was Greenie. So, and I was told a long time ago, I was with Don Conroe, who is a master of the gong. He goes all over the world doing things with the gongs, events. And I did some events with him years ago. He lives in, I think he's still living in New York. But anyway, when I mentioned to him, I showed him the skull, and he said the original gongs were made from jade and jadeite. So he said, it's powerful, because it's interesting, because I was told by the skull that they're activated through sound and color. So it would make sense that they're activated through sound if they were using this material for that purpose, to create the sound of a gong that awakens your consciousness and vibrates through you for healing. So take a few deep breaths. Just trying to hear if I should tell you first how I got to Greenie, but I'm going to just go into doing some activations first. So hold an intention of something you would like to shift in your consciousness. Like it could be, a lot of the work I do with sound has to do with clearing karmic miasms. They're like knots in your field, in your morphogenetic field, your energy field, but also to clear anything from any lifetimes, including this one, whether it's on the earth or beyond the earth, where you had perceptions or belief systems based on your response to different situations in your lifetimes. And some of those responses, those energetic, it's like an energetic sort of container of if you were maybe penalized in other lives for expressing yourself or speaking out. That could be something you're still carrying that could stop you from being able to speak your truth, or even to yourself or to others. It could affect you in many different ways of ending up in survival. So this is about moving from survival to thriving, living fully, an illusion to truth. We're on a planet right now where we're already going through on a greater scale of what's the truth, what are we being told, what's really the truth, what's the truth for ourselves, who are we without all these old patterns and belief systems that could be limiting, or that might not be true anymore. They were just responses to different situations. So I work with the vibrational languages. The languages through me, this is through me, I was told, were a combination of energies from the earth plane before karmic patterning began. So it's like before karma began, because the humans hadn't come to earth yet. So it affects you when you hear these languages, where how it connects you to the earth plane before karmic patterning began, also to the star systems, the planets, and beyond the beyond. So you get to feel yourself from, like, in the earth and beyond that. You get to remember yourself as a multidimensional being. And the more you open up, I'm sure many of you already are feeling this, the more you open up, the more you expand, you start to live consciously from this higher conscious perspective of living multidimensionally. So how do you really align to be able to feel like you're here, there, and everywhere? And it's not always the easiest thing to do. We're all learning this again, but it's really remembering who we already are. The languages do one thing, which is help you to remember that you're multidimensional, but they also help to awaken your codes of your consciousness. Again, this is through what they tell me that the languages are for me and through me. And I'll explain why that makes sense later. And then the sounds that I use, so I'm not a regular singer. Right now my voice is hoarse anyway, but I'm not a regular singer, but I have lots of octaves in my voice, I was told. And but when I work with the higher frequencies through the computers, it doesn't always come through. The energy will come through, but it may disappear in sound unless you have animals like dogs and things around you that might be hearing these things. But so in case I go into that, you might think you're missing something. It's just the energy can't go through the speakers in these. It's because the frequency is too high if I do that. So so the languages do one thing, but the sounds help to clear karmic patterns, so that you can let go of those, or it transmutes the karma, so that you can then come into the truth of who you are in the now and moving forward. So I'm just going to start with some languages and sound or whatever comes through. So I'd like you to hold an intention, because this is about healing, it's about awakening, it's about initiating change, so people can go through initiations, awakening parts of your consciousness that you hadn't before. So close your eyes and just give yourself permission to receive. The other thing about this particular skull, it told me all these things, that it was here to open people's hearts, to bring them back into the highest frequency of the heart of love. And my work, I was told like years later, a lot of it is about opening up the gateway to the multidimensional heart. So all of this work is being worked on multidimensionally, all at the same time. It's always about opening the heart, always bringing us back to love, always bringing us back to loving ourselves, loving others, accepting everyone, bringing everything into unity consciousness, which is what this whole ascension time is. It's a 26,000-year cycle. And we've done this before, but we haven't made it, and a lot of it was because of the different polarities, which create divisiveness. So we're still going through fourth dimension of the polarities. In order to move that up to the fifth dimension, which is the open heart, we have to accept both, like as if to sort of, you just have to accept through, meaning compassion for all parts of patterns, so that you get the wholeness of the pattern. If you get both sides of it, it can lift to the higher dimension. But those lower dimensional perceptions and belief systems, which come from historical things, from cycles of all different time periods, which is being played out again now, in order to bring this up, it's like having a coin and only paying attention to one side. You're not getting the wholeness of it. So it's not that you have to agree, you just have to have compassion for both sides, so it can lift into that higher, open-hearted place where we can be there in combination together. And then the sixth dimension, from what I've been told, is more of the holding of the opening of the heart, the maintaining of that. So we're still kind of in fourth dimension, so trying to come in and out of fifth. So today all of these things are being worked on. So just hold some kind of an intention that would help you to feel like your life can be better and that you can come into a recognition of the truth of who you are and accept it and receive it and embody it. So I'm going to work with this green skull, Greenie. So I'm putting my hands on it. And if you have skulls or crystals or anything around you, you can just bring them into the room or have them near you. The energy of the crystal skulls, this has been, I keep talking, we're trying to get to the other part. The energies when I was with Max for many years, Max the Ancient Crystal Skull, owned by Joan Parks, I used to bring her into town from Houston, Texas twice a year and do individual sessions throughout 3 days straight, every half an hour. And then we would do a big event where she would speak a little bit about Max and I would do activations and all sorts of things. So, but this skull has been with Max throughout many, I've been doing this for over, 25 years with the skulls or something. And I've been doing my own work for probably 35 years. So, but anyway, so they sort of download information back and forth to each other. So even doing it this way, if you have like little crystal skulls or big ones or whatever you have, it'll start to awaken that as well in your skulls. And then we have our own skulls. Our body has our skull that holds your brain. And I believe that it's the sacred geometry of the shape of our skulls, that the way energy moves through that sacred geometric shape that activates us in our brains to awaken even more. And many beings in all different dimensions or star systems or planets or wherever they come from, they have different shaped heads. So that's a different dynamic in terms of how energy moves through the sacred geometric shape of the skulls that are for their purposes. It's all eventually for the purpose of love and acceptance, so we can all be together and as one, since we're all coming from the same sense of that love energy, that source of all. So I'm going to start with this before I keep talking. So take a few deep breaths. Hold some kind of an intention of something you'd like to shift in your life or in your body, if it's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, psychic, creative, sensual, sexual, psychological, creatively, financially, on any level. So I'm going to turn it around for a moment, and I'll tell you more about how to use these skulls. Because I'm going to just put my head onto the head of this skull. I was told to do this when I was with Max, and then I could do it with this one as well. Max is a clear quartz skull. But as you do that, what you're doing, it's like I'm putting, I don't know if you could see, I'm putting my third eye to the third eye of this skull. Just holding it like this and breathing in the energy of what this skull can do for me. So while I'm doing this, I'm activating you at the same time. So just give yourselves permission to imagine, close your eyes and imagine that you're putting your head on this particular skull. And what it does is it'll open your heart more, and it'll open your heartfelt feelings about everything that you desire for the highest good of your own being. So now I'm just going to hold my hands on here. One of the things that's good is that usually you try to be able to touch the skulls. That's why JoAnn Parks used to have these things, her skull go to different places, because she was told that when you put your hands on the skull, it has an even, I guess, a more tangible effect. Although I believe just being activated by these things through these languages, through me, you can be activated to awaken to more, whatever it is. So I'm going to keep it this way so you can see it, and I'll just put my hands on it. Manishanam malakim rakyanan darashanan darakurshanyoru. Breathe into your heart center to help to heal anything from pasts, so that you can move forward with more ease and grace. Ashanimiana nakuli malekita rondorore shananim rekinaro amahananyanoru shanaim abarim brasheki tararim yaro Hannire tukuriana malekinaro marene shado Ammaraki braki noru shalayane Amahiyana imirado shanaru Annayina nane shanoku. Take some deep breaths. Kuyamanoru Imbriakyan tokonyarapatende tumbarakindarakim balagil marikumarikitandar umbarikinde dumbari. Dongmian yamaning wanyangan yamanin yamangwang ngomong manene mregian nori mredondori brekitan dain nana nimarane manane 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 nomong yamana no manane dongo diandado. Breathe and ask to allow yourself to now go deeper into your own being, to get to something that you're ready to come into now, something to be able to be transmuted or released. Sasim lakya dukuri shar. We speak to your heart. Inenisha tukurin elagish kadar ish katurikim. Vrash katarinim valakil al elakulash katurikita. These are all different languages from all different star systems. Bashkital il aliyakish kadachem ekitor akit irshatukurisha. Trimbre brigin durush kadarain shakaturush katikitarush. Ran shechel elachem leche. Duskia tandelikur kshkature. Feel your connection to all the crystal skulls that exist on the earth. Some of them are ancient, all of them are ancient stones, and they're all connected to the earth and connected to the stars and beyond. And some of the ones that are ancient stones but are also ancient carvings, those have another level of energy that they bring into fruition into the earth for particular purposes. All the different stones, all the different skulls, they have different purposes, and the people who are the keepers of these skulls are meant to have them. So even if they're tiny, I have a lot of these tiny little skulls in all different shapes and sizes and things. And but this for me has been the most important one for me in terms of working with myself but with other people. So you can also put crystals next to the crystal skulls, other crystals that are not skulls. And they all just download energy into each other. They awaken each other because they're all from the earth. So, and they connect us energetically to the higher realms, to many different dimensions. So it helps us in our evolutionary process of consciousness. We're here to evolve. This is a 26,000-year cycle that has to do with the energy of ascension. Usually with ascension, we leave the body, we die, we leave the body, we get a bigger picture of who we were in this lifetime, what we had to learn about, if we even learned it, how we responded to different things. So this is not necessarily about having to die to evolve or to go through, but there is the death piece and the ascension, and as you start to let go of the karma, the karmic energy that your life is being filtered through, that sort of reaction or response to having gone through certain lifetimes that were not as easy. So we have all these different perceptions and belief systems that we have identified with for eons of time. So when those are starting to, when I work with the Akashic Records and clear a lot of the things through the sound, it's clearing the energetic charges from where all those began, so then they're like erased, transmuted. And then they go through all the different parts of your consciousness, bringing you back down into the present. That's how they work. That's part of what they do with people during these healings. And what it does is it helps you to remember the truth of who you are, moving from illusion to truth. And so as you breathe, know that it's possible to make the changes. So the idea of the ascension and the death piece is when you finally let go of all these identifications of who you thought you had to be in order to survive. It's like taking away who you thought you were. So it can feel like you're like a death. It could feel like you want to hold on to everything that you think of who you are. But when it finally lets it go, and the energy of the sound and the languages, the skulls or whatever, it all, however it comes through, activations and initiations that I bring through, it helps you to get back on track of the truth of who you really are, not who you thought you had to be. But that feeling of death, it's like a feeling of almost like someone is erasing who you thought you had to be. But then what you don't just leave when nothing's there. The truth comes in. The truth is, it's like remembered. It's like brought back together instead of dismembered. It's like all the parts of your consciousness start to become in sync, and it becomes like unity consciousness within your own being. And your physical body can be more in alignment. Because all you need to do, if you have physical problems in your body, just bring, even if it's emotional, just imagine love coming through you, from you, into those areas. It's a way of healing yourself. Because love can't hold, it's a higher frequency, it's the highest frequency. It can't hold anything that's of a lower vibration. It transmutes it instantly. So if you have dis-ease, you can bring love into those areas to start to transmute your own issues of things that keep you in erroneous, things that are not true areas of your consciousness. Take a few deep breaths. And feel as if you're being held in all this pure love from this skull. We don't really need these are tools. We have all these things within ourselves, truthfully, but they're tools, and we're able to use tools. People use crystals, people use pendulums, I use my art as a way to activate things, visual, audible, kinesthetic. People sing songs, people do all sorts of things. And all of these things help us to remember the truth of who we are, that we're loved, lovable, and loving, and that we can be with others and be in collaboration with people. We don't have to do everything exactly the same way. But these are particular tools that are coming in to our consciousness and onto the planet, where people are starting to pay attention to these things because it's time. And what my guides always say to me is that we are actually time capsules of consciousness. A time capsule is when all this information has been put there for when it's the right time. So it's time capsules of consciousness that we are, where time released and the time is now. So these skulls are part of helping us to remember the truth of who we are. And one of the things I just want to say before I go on, in relation to the languages, how I understood eventually, like, what is this related to? I saw it when I first got to see Max, the ancient crystal skull. All these synchronicities, and I didn't know anything about the crystal skulls. I'm going to just talk in between. It's almost like they unravel patterns while they're talking to you, my guides, and they work with you energetically, and the skull's working with you, but they're being told what to talk about in this particular order. So we'll go back to more activations a little bit. So one of my clients told me that this woman was in town with this ancient crystal skull. I knew nothing about this. This was like years and years ago. And I said, oh, that sounds interesting. And it turned out it was around the corner from where I used to live, downtown. And so I called. It was like 9 o'clock at night, and they were there for the weekend. And I said, I heard you do individual sessions. I'd really like to set that up. And the guy said, it's already booked up. I can put you on the bottom of the list. And I said, well, I didn't really know what it was. He also said, if you want to do a group thing, something to do with a group. I said, I got guided to just do an individual session. I said, if it's meant to be, it'll be meant to be. And I didn't really think about it too much. And that was 9 o'clock at night, and 8 o'clock in the morning, the guy called me back, and he said, I know you said it was meant to be. Well, it must be, because I put your name on the bottom of the list, of this waiting list last night. And it's only 8 o'clock in the morning, and I looked on the list, and you were on the top of the list. So I just said, I guess it's meant to be. I didn't even know what it was, but I figured I'll go there. So I went to go see what this was for my session, and it was in this little church, and there was a man who ran the church, and then there was JoAnn Park sitting there. And there was a girl sitting on the floor with Max. So they said, just go sit with her, put your hands on it with her. And she told me actually to lie down. And so I lied down next to the skull, and she put her hands on it, and I think I touched it at one point. And then she started doing these light languages, which I'd never heard before. As soon as she started to do them, I sat up, and it just came out of me, which is not typical that I would do this. But I said, I know these languages. It just came out. I know these languages. I've spoken them before, and I want to speak them now. And luckily, she said, okay, so sit up and put your hands on it with me, and let's see what happens. So I put my hands on it, on Max, and so did she. And by she doing the light language, she activated something in me, that a memory, and we both started doing light languages back and forth as if we were talking to each other. The energy kept like building and building. We started doing the same things at the same time, laughing in the same way. And it was like back and forth really fast, all this stuff going on. And then I went into channel because I was like in so much open space there. And she was channeling just for that last year, I think it was, and only in light languages, not in English. I had been channeling for many years, but in English. And all of a sudden I went into this channeled state, and I started channeling that we were opening up some kind of gateway or portal or something that was a combination of the energies from the star system Sirius and the Pleiades. I was connected to Sirius at that time. She was connected to the Pleiades. I had long dark hair like I do now, wearing dark clothes. She was all blonde and wearing all white clothes. So it was this combination of this thing that happened there. And then the thing was over, and I was like totally spaced out. I had no idea what just happened. And the guy that ran the church came over to me. These are all these spontaneous, these like interesting things that happen spontaneously, of synchronicities. So the guy came over to me, and he was treating me like this high priestess that had been initiated in lifetimes. And he said, I want you to come with me. I have something to show you that we don't show anyone in this place, in this church, unless they've been indoctrinated or initiated for like at least 2 years. But we can bring you here. He's treating me like this high priestess. I'm completely spaced out from all the energy. I didn't even know what this was. And he takes me to this room that had like a low kind of platform or a stage, and it had all these things in a row. There must have been at least 25 of these things, and they were all covered in cloths. And he said, we don't let anyone see these unless they've been initiated. And he kept talking about me being this priestess, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And he took all these things off, and they were supposedly manifested from someone who used to work at the church, who was like an evidential medium, and it manifested physical things, a physical medium. And there were all these different skulls, all different shapes, all different sizes, all different colors, all different stones, they were all different crystal skulls. And I was so open from all this other stuff that it just like kind of almost blew me over with all this energy. And then I didn't have time to even really look because I was so spaced out. I didn't even know what the skulls were about. So, but I was meant to be there, and it turned out. So I went over to JoAnn Parks, the owner of the other skull, Max, and I gave her my card, and then she took that, and I said, okay, thank you, bye, whatever. And then it turned out that after that, I had dreams for 4 years of clear quartz crystal skulls overlapping in my dreams. And then I actually grabbed my ex-husband, he was my husband then, and I said, I want to go find all these other skulls. I was skull crazy for a while. Anyway, I did get to go to see the Mitchell Hedges skull in Canada, and my husband and I had a thing. He wanted to go see the Expos play baseball, and so we do that, and then we go see the skull together. So I saw that skull, and it was a really beautiful, clear quartz skull with a jaw that comes separately and different than Max. Max is, they say, is made out of junk crystal. It shouldn't even hold itself together. It's carved against the grain of the stone. And they were both considered, well, at least Max, anyway, I don't know the other one, considered an ancient carving and also an ancient stone. So when I saw the other one, I tried to use the sounds with it, and it didn't do the same thing for me. It was whatever you're drawn to, and but I would but I would see like little flying saucers and little things in the skull because it was clear. You could like a glass, you could see through it. And then on the way back, we were just driving somewhere, my husband and I. And all of a sudden, while we were in the car, it felt like you like smoked something and got high later. Like all of a sudden, the two of us were like so spaced out while we were trying to drive to go somewhere else. So it had an effect. They only saw that one once though, but and I had all these things trying to get to other places where I knew there were supposed to be skulls. But anyway, Max was the one that really made an impression for me. And it turned out, so I started to do these languages, and then I started to write them, then I started to speak them, then I started to sing them. And so that became a big part of something in my life that I wasn't quite sure what it still meant. But, and then JoAnn called me one day, like 4 years later, and said, I've been looking for, maybe I called her, I don't remember, but I think she called me and she said, I found your card. I've been looking for you for the last number of years. I remembered you did those languages. The person she was working with before, I don't know, they had a falling out or something, I don't know. But she said, I have someone. So then it turned out she had someone, and we talked, and I said, well, can I bring you in to do something with the skull? She had someone she was doing that with, and this time it was April. And then she said, you could do it in November. And I was like, okay, great, that's cool. And it turned out that like about a week later, a few days later even, she said the woman who was supposed to do it, she has to like leave her apartment and move somewhere else in the same week. And it was like this whole like weird thing. And she goes, could you take it over? We started to promote it already. So I started to do that, and then it turned out I did it in November as well. And I did that for years, 2 times a year. And then eventually I created the Meta Center, New York, in New York City, a big center, metaphysical center in New York. And it was too much for me to do it twice, so I did it once a year. But Greenie came after that. And what happened is I was already working with Max. I was already doing all these things that kept coming through me. And but I had already been channeling and all sorts of things for years before that. Anyway, so then I went to Tikal in Guatemala, where they have these pyramids all over the place and in the jungles. And there's some pyramids that are not even, the foliage hasn't even been cleaned up yet, and they're still half sticking up, just looks like big pyramid shapes, but under trees and things. So my husband was walking up the pyramids that are open on the top there. And so they have big steps, and it's really steep. And I just started, and I couldn't do it. I was too scared. So he did it, took a bunch of pictures. And then we went to another part of the area there. And there was one where it was still, it hadn't been cleared yet. But there was like a ladder to go on a tree, and you climb up the tree to get to the steps that are further up. And somehow I was able to do that. So we did that, and got to the top, and I started just talking to the universe and saying, I wanted to, be able to come into myself more fully in my work and whatever I was asking about. And I said, and if you can find me a skull that I can work with and bring it out to the world and help in some way that's related to my work, that would be great. So then I forgot about it. Then we went to Mexico, to Cancun, to leave, to go out of that area in order to catch our plane. And we were there for like 2 days or something. And it was raining, there was nothing to do. We were in a nice hotel, but there was nothing else to do. And so we went to a mall, and just to go get something to eat or whatever. I walk into the mall, these are all the synchronicities. I walk into the mall, I open the door, and I hear, come over here, take me home. And I'm like, uh-oh, here we go again. So it turns out, I said to my husband, we have to go somewhere. Like, he said, okay. So we ended up, he said, just follow me, come to see me, I gotta see you, blah, blah, blah. Just take me home. So I'm like going through all the different, back and forth through a mall. Eventually on the other side of the mall, we get to this store. We're standing in front of the store, and it's tell me this is it. Find me and take me home. So I walk in there, and it's a high-end jewelry store, but it's made with crystals, but it was all high-end. But in the front of the store, right in the front, this skull was sitting there. It was the only thing like it there. So I went over and put my hand on it, And it felt really comfortable to me. It felt like a pet, like, a loving little dog or something that was just like so loving. And it started saying, if you take me home, you have to take me home. If you take me home, I'll work with you and everyone else. Anything to do with love, relationships, passion, purpose, prosperity, abundance, and more. Everything to do with the heart. So I thought, well, that's good. And a lot of my work is about that. So I tried to ask the guy, where did it come from? And I got to see him for a few moments because he was leaving. And he said it was passed down to him. He had it for 2 or 3 years. Somebody else had it for 2 years before him. Someone else had it for another year. It was all passed down. Nobody knew where it came from. He thought I might be a doctor because he thought it might be a good thing for like in your office. So, and then he told me what, it was like thousands of dollars for this. And I was thinking, what am I doing? I'm already working with Max, which is unusual to begin with. I have enough stuff that's unusual in my life. And what am I going to do with a green head? So then I said, let me think about it. And the skull told me what I was going to pay for it. And it was completely different than what the guy was telling me. And so I went looking in big stores, small stores, out of the way stores, all these things. And they kept showing me masks and things. This was in the late 1998 or 7 or 9, I don't know. I don't remember. But so what happened is I couldn't find anything anywhere except like people talking to me about death masks. And so I kept going back and I couldn't find the guy. So I finally called him and said, I'm really interested. I need to know what you would charge, all this kind of stuff. So I said, I need to know more. And he was never in. And I said, if I'm leaving in a day, give me a call if you're interested. I am interested. And it turned out he called, and in like broken Spanish, my husband negotiated with him based on what the skull told us. We got it within $5 of what the skull told us, and it was like thousands of dollars difference. So, I was in the cab waiting with our bags, going to the airport. My husband ran up to the place. They packed it up into some wooden box. Said, "Don't tell them what it is. Just tell them it's an art object, just in case." And we took it home, and his work, I started using it, and then we put it with Max, and all these things started happening, and and my work has become all about, or was already, about working with the heart, opening up the the gateway to the multidimensional heart, working on many levels of the heart center. So take a few deep breaths, because it's all activations on some level of all the things I'm talking to you about. So then another piece to this. So these are all these little synchronicities. Like, what was I doing at going to see a skull? Why did somebody even tell me this? I had nothing to do with this. I had no idea. But it's become a huge part of my work because it started to bring through the languages. Then I was saying them. I've been speaking them, singing them, writing them, drawing them, putting them in my paintings. It's become a huge part of the activations of what I do with this. And so what happened was, it turned out that I got this download of information one day. I think I was meditating or something. And they kept saying, what is it with these skulls? What am I doing with all this? And so they said to me that this is how the light languages are connected to the skulls and the languages and the star systems. And it helps you to connect to the star systems. And they said that eons of time ago, remember they told me that what the light languages through me are a combination of energies from the earth plane before karmic patterning began, before humans even inhabited the earth yet, in connection to the star systems, planets, and beyond the beyond. So when you hear these languages, they help you to remember yourself as multidimensional, and they activate your codes of consciousness. They told me that a long time ago, but I didn't, I was like, okay, whatever. And now, all of a sudden, they gave me this other piece that said, they told me and showed me that I think it was either 12 or 13 of us from the star systems, from all different star systems. But we were all aware of each other, doing this in a collaborative way. And we connected and went together. We got energetically, we came together. We went to the earth and we found particular crystals. This is what they told me. Particular crystals in the earth. And we each found our own particular ones, and they were from all over the world, but we were all in sync with each other telepathically, and we were all doing this in collaboration. It wasn't separately, this one's doing that. We all knew we were doing this sort of journey. And what we did is energetically, with the languages of the stars that we kind of represented, we were infusing these crystals with all this information that would eventually, when humans would come onto the earth, they would eventually find these. So what happened is, before that even happened though, we first did that and then we left. And we came back at another time. I don't really know the time frame, the difference in time, but it was closer to the time of when humans were going to come to the earth. And we went back and we changed the configuration of these crystals into the form, the sacred geometric form of human, like a human skull. And they said that when humans would finally come and find them, they pay attention to them because they look like them, like the ego of the humans. So, so first it was going there to put energy into finding the skulls and putting energy in through light languages. Then coming back and changing they were first as crystals. Then they changed them, and they were all different kinds of crystals. And then we changed them into the crystal, like they changed them into the head form, like so they would look like humans' skulls, and the skull form. And then so they said, and what would happen is when people came to the earth, humans became in human form, they would find these skulls when it's the right time, and then they would be awakened possibly to this light language, and then from the light language it would help people to remember themselves as being multidimensional. It would connect them back to the star systems, because so many of us are all from these different parts and dimensions and stars and planets and that. And then and they, like they said, we're time capsules of consciousness. So were the crystal skulls in the earth. Time capsules of consciousness, time released, and the time is now. And we're here during this ascension time to be able to awaken and bring ourselves to a much higher level of consciousness and be part of all the shifts and changes that are taking place. It's like a grand initiation of the entire planet. And individually we are being initiated and awakened. And that's why we're going through so many shifts and changes, because there's so much energy coming into the planet now at this particular time, a 26,000 year cycle. And we're being infused, and our physical bodies are having to move to a higher frequency while our souls are going into higher frequency. I don't get that we have to be at the exact same thing, because one is etheric and one is physical, but they have to work together. So a lot of people are getting exhausted, they're tired, they're confused, they don't know what to do. A lot of things, people's letting go of old ways of being, but don't know what to put in place of that. So people are going through a lot just to be here, but we were meant to be here. But anyway, so going back to that, these languages also awaken your codes of your consciousness. So they awaken through these skulls by connecting to them. They awaken the language, if you're meant to even have to do with that or just listen to it. But they also awaken your codes of your consciousness, and remembering that you're multidimensional. We're not from here. We're from everything. And when we all came together to do this, these particular group of us, we came together to work in harmony and balance and in alignment with each other, collaboration. And we're in a time period now, the time is now, that now that we're here and we've been going through these cycles for 26,000 year cycles for the last 3 times, this is the 4th time, we keep blowing ourselves up or whatever, go through all these things about what's the truth, what's not the truth, who are we really, what are we doing here? All the things that are in polarities, trying to move it into oneness and unity consciousness, love that connects to everything. So when we came together from all these different places, we came together as a team to put in whatever we needed for the purposes intended for the people that are going to find these things or be in connection, like here, like you're being in connection with this one. And also the energy of Max, because I've been involved with that, and so is the skull. So But all crystals are from the earth anyway, so they carry that energy is in the earth as well. So, and the earth is going through these changes as well, her ascension. So then I realized for me that these languages, as much as I know they do something, it helped me to understand my connection to a lot of the star systems. My connections have been more about the star system, Sirius, Arcturus, a little bit of Andromeda, maybe a little bit of Lyra. I'm not that connected to the Pleiades unless somebody else is, and then I channel stuff maybe from there if it's even necessary. But so everybody, it's all part of everything is a collective. It's for everyone and everything comes from everything. So some of the mysteries of these skulls, of why, for me anyway, was why. What am I doing with these things? I do all this stuff. I know it makes sense to some, but that made so much more sense to me of what these languages are in relation to the skull. So when I saw Max, when that woman started to do, she just started at a few moments of saying something in light language, and I just I said I knew them and I spoke them before, and I was like, I did? I didn't know I did. I didn't do it in this lifetime. But it was because I was one of the ones, supposedly, according to this information, that placed this into the skulls in the earth that at the time that were going to be found eventually, and then it was going to awaken people to even the sacred geometry. Our brain is in this encasement of a particular sacred geometric shape. And energy moves through, in sacred geometry, it moves through the shape for different purposes. So our brains are encased in this, and then when you see beings from other star systems or planets or wherever they come from, typically they have different shaped heads. Even this one, if you look at it from the side, it's an elongated head. So it's still connected to what we look like. It's got eyes and nose and all that kind of thing from being an actual skull. And we tend to think of when we see skulls as death, but death is really about rebirth. So it's all interwoven to all these things that we hear all the time. So those are some of the synchronicities of things that made sense to me. And I was just guided. I mean, I walk into a mall, and after going on top of a pyramid in the jungles in Chicago and end up in Mexico, I open the door of a mall, and I hear this thing talking to me. I touch it when I finally find it. It told me where it was, told me what it was going to cost me, told me I was meant to have this and to do this as part of my work. So, so take a few deep breaths. And what I'd really like to do is to awaken everyone, if you would like to do this. I don't know if everyone is meant to do this, but I think it's open to whatever happens. I was told that I should just help you to awaken to your own light language, whatever that means to you. And because these light languages, when you hear them and also when you write them, or for me anyway, writing them, I put them in paintings, but I write them, I speak them, I sing them, however they go. But that's part of my work. But it might just awaken you to something by hearing them and maybe being able to express them somehow. Some people, I've worked with other people where we've done things together, where a friend of mine used to dance. She also was able to sing them and speak them and all that, but she would dance the languages. And some people use their hands and do hand motions. Some people don't even speak them. I used to just write them wherever I was. In the middle of the night, I was writing them, and all these things were coming up. Then I started doing number codes. That was another form of light language. And I had all these different things going on with me. And it doesn't always just settle into one thing or another for me. I do a lot of things, but my guides, kept asking them to help me to bring them together. Even with my painting, I was told, like Joan of Angels was talking about how they told her to paint, I think it was 22 angel paintings, I'm not sure how many. But for me, years ago, they told me I studied art, my background's painting, all this. And they asked me to paint, because I said, I don't want to stop painting. If I'm going to do all this work, where does that fit in? I don't want to just not do that anymore. It's part of who I am. So they said paint paintings of one of one color only of every color. And I do abstract paintings at this point, but it was to just, they said it's so that you can remember, you can really recognize and embody the vibration of every color. And then I used to do paintings specifically for people for different purposes. Either I would bring up the purpose and write out information. I just did by people's names. I haven't done these in a while. I'm going to eventually have a lot of my art as prints for people to possibly buy if they're interested, or the originals. But I'm working up toward that. But so anyway, so I want to just get to this so we can, I want to show you some art as well. So I'm just going to show you quickly just some art really quick and then do more stuff. So this is just a little painting. And the reason I'm bringing this up because I got that it was about color, sound, timeline healings. It's like we have all these timelines, we have other lifetimes, but also timelines that are overlapping. So this is about the color. Like I actually hear paintings. I have like synesthesia where you can overlapping of your sensory perceptions. It's not a disease. It's actually an enhanced way of experiencing things. So so this is just a little thing that I did, but I'm just going to do that because I want it to be in relation to what we're doing. I'm going to just show you a few paintings and just do it really fast because they're for different purposes. So this is just another painting, opening your creative expression. So this is more regular painting for me because I do all different things. But and I also have, I'm going to do this fast because I want to make sure we get to the other. This one is for balancing the right and left sides of the brain. So if you have any problems with that, just look at this and breathe it in. It's all light language. And just take it in. I'm just going to do this fast so that we can get through it. This is for clearing addictive behaviors. Again, it's light language, but I add color and all sorts of stuff. And there's like, I carve things into the painting. I don't know if you can see it as well as what I'm saying, but this one is, I used this for a while because I wanted it. Activating financial support. Could use it for everyone. But it's all like layers and layers of light language. And what it does is it activates things. It awakens your codes of your consciousness to be able to have that, to remember you have that within you. This one is for lightness of being. And these are mostly the ones that have to do with light language. I do regular abstract paintings as well. Lightness of being. So just breathe all these things in so it just awakens parts of your consciousness. Opening to love and compassion. We're here to come into the frequency of love, which is an all-inclusive frequency with no conditions. Again, it's light language. This is inner and outer peace. That would be good to have. All of these are good to have. Just take a few deep breaths. Hold on one second. This was a code to awaken your codes. It's to interconnective intelligence, to connect to all different experiences of dimensional connection. And it has some, there's certain things in there also that are like metallic paints and things. So it's a code. I do a lot of different stuff. This is an actual painting, just so you can see. This is from a long time ago, but this is a general healing painting. I don't know if you can see it. I do a lot of watercolors and mixed media, and acrylics and mixed media. So that's just real regular painting. But it's always the vibrational frequency of the painting. These are more like major things. I only have like 3 left. This one is star language from other galaxies, light language, conversations with our minds and releasing old patterns of thinking, blocking evolutionary growth. Just a little topic. So I'm going to show you it from here. So just breathe that in. These are metallic things. I'm going to just show you like up close a little bit more. So you can see, I don't have a lot of room here. It's all different things going on in here. And then Hold on. I'm just trying to do this fast, but I want to get it in. This one is Recollection of Wholeness, Galactic Light Language for Interconnection, Reweaving Your Remembrance of Multi-Universe Connection. So it's connecting you to these higher realms. And this one has all different languages. I'm trying to show it to you. I don't know if you can see it, but that it keeps going into different languages from all different places. Just to give you a sense of some of these things. And this one, I was in the museum, the Metropolitan Museum, looking at the Egyptian art. And I just love all the Sanskrit writing and all that kind of thing. So when I came back, I did a painting, kind of Egyptian-like, it's still abstract, but instead of Sanskrit, I used light language. So if you can, I'm going to show it to you like this, and then I'm going to show you up close. I don't know if you can see it. That's the bottom. I don't have room here. I don't know if you can you see it? So I did it like as if it were an Egyptian Sanskrit type thing, but it's all, this one is for sacred initiations. So just take a few deep breaths. Hold an intention of, we're gonna do the thing about light language. Is that okay for everyone? I don't know I'm gonna know, I can't see everybody, but hopefully.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Is everybody following me with all these things I'm doing? I'm trying to get through everything as quickly as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hands on Greenie, and I'm going to, I don't believe that light language is taught. I used to work with the teacher, Star Fuentes, some of you know her. She used to talk about there are teachings that are taught teachings and some that are caught teachings. I believe this is a caught teaching. It comes from someone who masters the teaching, and when they do this, whatever they do, and you're there to experience the energy of it, you catch the vibration of the teaching. So you don't just do it by like put your hands here and do this. It's more of you catch the vibration of the teaching, and it awakens that within you that already knows how to do this. Everybody has this. It may not be your thing that comes up to do, but you can at least experience it, possibly. So I'm going to start by doing certain languages that'll come through, and I'm going to start by doing it slowly. First I'm going to do it a little bit on my own, and then I'm going to just do some other stuff, light languages, where I'll do it slower so that you can sort of say it after I say it, and then I'm going to keep going faster and faster, and then all of a sudden you let go, and it just comes out. It's like babies jabbering and stuff. They're talking in some kind of language. They know what they're doing. So, where they don't get in their own way. You have to get out of the way for this. Even to write them or sing them or dance them or whatever you're doing. It's like just letting go and just letting it come through. And for me, I'm a channel anyway, and I also did painting my whole life, so it's like I get out of the way and I just allow everything to just come through naturally. So for a lot of people, it's not as easy to do that, but they're going to hopefully help you to be able to get out of your own way to begin with in general, but also to possibly awaken to light language. And in the light language, eventually, it does help us in our evolution of our consciousness. So if you can do it for yourself or listen to others or see in art and whatever, however you do it, it's your own path. But you're here today, so there must be a reason. And this is about opening the heart. So we're going to focus on the energy of opening up the heart center when I'm doing this. So while you can do this too, to open your heart center, heal anything that has to do with love, relationships, passion, purpose, prosperity, abundance, and anything else that relates to your heart connection to yourself and others in the world. Ashanam Balekim Brakotun Santare Bandaru. I'm going to do sacredness of the heart. Om Yanoru. Say that. Om Nyam Naru Rikitaron Rikitaron Imyate Torum Hanim. You don't have to know how to sing. Ashkitiya Tokua Ashkitiya Takua Rikyandikur in sa ka ra ba ka ra ba ka ra umpaki shachim lachet ruturim a. Just say what I'm saying if you can. Isan on ato. You could say it or sing it. And it's coming through with there's always an intention behind this. It's not haphazard. So have an intention that's going to open your heart to receive whatever you need to move forward in relation to the heart center, to love, relationships, passion, purpose, prosperity, abundance, connection to everything and anything, to know that you're loved, lovable, and loving. So right now I'm just going to do it on my own for a moment. You could join in if you want, but it's going to be faster. Ashanam lekim ranam rakesa kekion totarim brakitar. Om mana. Open your heart center and breathe into it. Asanim rakim rakashananu marakila lelo toromar. Hayanokur marikisha imanarotor. Aryamahayano basharachima lakela harimaratoro marimarake anyashanamanikituru morukwar. I'm not thinking about this as I'm doing it, I'm just doing it. I'm bringing in the frequency now. Just breathe. Om manonoi madanaru. Om Hanoim Yanarokur Anahinamnukur Tisharukur Rambrekita Rimerotur Ashandare Kuru Sharakim Rakar Arambarare Kashinare Ananari Kurushar Anarayanaryokuriya. Bringing in the sacredness of your own being, to remember yourself as sacred. We speak to your heart and soul. Infusing you with light language, and then we'll go back to you repeating with us. I also speak languages of light from different beings that come through at times. So for me, it goes in and out of, it could be the stars, it could be the earth, it could be, some being from another time period that you knew you were connected to, or you were that being. From an indigenous tribal thing. It's just I use it in whatever comes through for the intention of what I'm doing it for. So right now, this is to open your heart, to come in. We need to come into a higher consciousness of embodiment of love, the pure essence of everything that we are, to see ourselves as that and to be able to be in collaboration rather than one side of something and the other. So take away from the polarities and bring us into oneness, to living oneness, within and without. Om Yana Seneti, this is for sacredness of truth. Om Yana no Yane regeneration and rejuvenation, for healing. Rajinia Gyandura Ginevara Girmari Jakara Grimara Girevara 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 Menadata Manadon no Manyang Wong to open up that part of your consciousness through your heart center and into all parts of your being. To be saturated and to awakened and to be initiated and awakened back into the memory of the truth of why you chose to come onto this planet, how you can make a difference just by being here. And to enjoy and experience that this is a very important time. And because you're here, you're meant to be here because you make a big difference and are came to make a difference. Could just be to move through your own karmic energy, just to bring yourself into a higher frequency and be on the planet in that experience. Or it could be to then know what you wanted, what really you enjoy doing. There's a personal purpose, the part of you that has to work on the things that you need to work through. But then there's the outer purpose. Once you do the other and get a little clearer, you figure out what gives you happiness, what feeds your soul, what's the food for your soul. The way you would also hopefully give your body the right food for your own system. And the more we can keep opening and expanding, the more we become it's like more refined. So we find ourselves more open and expanded and needing to put the proper physical food into our body to feed our body, but also bring in the things in our life experiences that feed our soul, including our gifts, to be able to bring them into the world, to be able to experience the things that we enjoy, that give us pleasure and joy and fulfillment. Dong barite tu tot kaparite bakatakating takating takatabarikitikin do tung dong rektung dong de tikate takatakan matikataman tikataman dong tikataman di do malagari baragira mangan dong gunda dong wang yang. Take a few deep breaths. I have no idea what anyone's feeling or if they're feeling anything, but because I can't see any of you. So but we don't have a lot of time yet. I'm happy to go longer if they'll let me, but I don't know how much time we really have. So so I want you to, again, we're going to just, as if I am mastering this energy, because I've been doing it so long and I'm part of the energy that was put into these skulls and connected from what I've been given. I want to awaken you to more of your ability for, if you're meant to do it, or just have it for now, the light language for yourself, or to do it in some other way in the world. More and more people are opening up to this now. So I'm just going to, again, I'm going to say whatever, and then you can start with what I say, and then just allow yourself to go into whatever it goes into. It's like dance as if nobody's watching you. Do light languages if nobody's listening, except you. Ashim Alim Laka, to open your heart more. Dasyana toko isinghyang nyong gongyan turim asimyana ruku dimyararim yare. Now just start to do whatever comes out. Barikinyana norim marikutar Om Hainani Marane no Manangi Mirana no Manane no Anahiano Karibrako Turimbreki Alila Maritita la Mariti Balagira Matiti to Mariti Manila Manine Dumano no Nane no Anauma. Take a few deep breaths. just one last thing is that, just to tell you that when the Tibetans used to use these skulls, they would put someone lying down next to it or behind it. And they would work on what's called the axiotonal light grids. They're like the energetic grids underneath all the meridians are affected or placed upon. So they would go down, they would do things like going like this, down this, or doing something like this. I used to do axiotonal light grid work for a few years that I learned from someone. Again, all these things relate to things I'm doing over these years, not knowing that it all relates to it. But I was told that the teeth have to do with different dimensions. So if you have skulls and you want to kind of play around with them a little bit, you can also look into them and kind of let your third eye open up. You can just hold them, put your hands on them. It's good to have your hands on them if you can. You're taking on the energy now. Now that Greenie has met you, you can call him Greenie, the green jadeite crystal skull. His energy is with you. You've been awakened to it. And I've awakened you to different light languages and different connections. Again, remember, for me, it's the light languages for me are a combination of energies from the earth plane before karmic patterning began, before humans even inhabited the earth, kind of from a clean slate, so there was no karma yet, in connection to the star systems and the planets and beyond the beyond. So you feel multidimensionally awake again, you remember, and then you also, your codes start to be activated. Your conscious codes, your higher conscious codes. And part of this is also about remembering that your higher self chose before you came into this lifetime with your councils of light. You chose to be here in a time period of a 26,000 year cycle. You were meant to be here because you are strong enough and adept enough being to be on the planet, to be part of everything that exists, and you count and you make a difference. You're loved, lovable, and loving. We're here to remember that. We're here to remember that we're here in collaboration to hopefully have a way to find our way back to ourselves and to each other as one. Unity consciousness, one love. Love is an all-inclusive frequency, and it has no conditions. So take a few deep breaths, start to come back to normal consciousness. You can practice light language on your own. You can just remember what we did here. You don't have to remember anything in particular other than you were awakened to some degree. And I don't know if we can have questions or not, but I'm thanking you to begin with, just to know that I'm grateful to be able to be here and do this work and share it with you. And I thank Noel and Bob and Joan and all of those who came today. Do we have any time to hear any comments or questions? I can't hear you, but I got my voice back. I was totally hoarse before. My voice is mostly coming back now. So see, you can move through anything. It cleared me while I was doing this. So, is there anything? I don't know what to do. Is there anything that I should know about? If you want to write it to me or something. And you can get to me through www.jodiserota.com, JodiSerota.com. If you're interested in sessions, I have something about the crystal skulls on there as well. My website needs to be updated, but I have some pictures of Max and Greenie together on there, so you can look on there if you want. And JoAnn, unfortunately, she lives in Texas, in Houston, Texas, so she doesn't come into New York. She doesn't travel anymore. So, especially with the pandemic, and it's a lot for her to carry around the skulls and do all that. So,
Oh,
oh, there you go. Now I hear you.
hello, Jodi.
Michael Spinner.
It's Michael Spinner, childhood friend.
Recognize your voice. I'm up in sixth grade. Somebody have one.
Jodi, I do have a light language, and it was very nice to hear yours. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm glad you came today. Anyone else able to say anything? See if you can undo your thing just to say hello even. I don't know why some people can and some people can't.
Hi,
I'd like to
Jodi.
say hello.
Oh,
Thank you.
who is that talking? I can't tell.
It's Olivia. I was here the other time when you came, and I'd love a session. I'm going to get in touch with you. Thank you so much.
For coming, I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bob and Noel, and thank you, Joan, and thank you, Greenie.
Thank you.
I hope you can
Yes.
hear me.
Thank you to Bob and Noel and Joan and Jodi and Greenie. It's Donna. I just really want to thank everybody. It was a beautiful session, really wonderful. Came across so beautifully here.
Oh, great, thank you. Appreciate it. Kathy Mason just came in. Oh, more synchronicities. I got my voice back and then I can't hear anyone.
It's Facebook is off.
Okay. Can you hear me now, Jodi?
Yeah. Was Joan in here?
Jodi, I've been wanting to tell you how awesome your presentation was. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. What were you going to say though? Just so I know what you were going to say.
Okay, I'm gonna see what I can do for myself. Anyway, Jodi, but I loved how you how you slowed down the light language so that we could actually learn to follow. And I was in the back here, also trying to sing with you, you know, trying to intone and follow you, and I found it really soothing to my soul. Like I know that language, so I really appreciated that tremendously.
Okay. I'm glad you could do it. And it was just, you sort of start with it, just it's like opening up a doorway and all of a sudden everything else just starts to come through.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you also, you're channeling, so you get out of your own way and you just let it happen. But it's a way to kind of like open the door and start. And then all of a sudden, it's like riding a bicycle, you're riding and someone's holding on, all of a sudden they let go and you're still riding. I feel like you're catching the frequency of the vibration of the actual language.
I think so. I could feel it. I could feel the way you do that. So, Noel, can you speak?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So Bob had to, my computer still will not let me speak. So Joan, you should be able to turn on your video. I do not have anybody blocked from turning on their video or from unmuting.
That's so funny. Okay, now it went on. That is crazy. Before it wouldn't let me.
What I've been finding, I'm telling you, in the last few weeks, I've been doing sessions for people and really going into like high pitched sounds and different stuff. And then I go back to like talking to them and they I could hear that. I mean, they can hear me, but I can't hear them at all. And the only way that I figured out, and I did the wrong way once I got off, but it was my call, so I got disconnected from them completely. But if they go off and get back on, it seems to work again. It's like, I don't know what it's doing to the computer, but.
Yeah.
Well, at least you know it's a sign something exciting is happening in all these interdimensions.
That's the message.
You know, that is the message. I used to turn on, whenever I used to go to this one particular psychic, every cassette recorder in her house would break down. She had 6, and she would try all of them, and she said it was because my energy was just so out there, it literally caused chaos in the world. But now yours did not cause chaos, but I could see it technology.
Well, let me just read some of the chat. Avery says, thank you very much alignment. And let's see, Michael said, thank you, love you. Stacy said, now Stacy's one I think who did do some channeling. Wow, what incredible energy, and felt like I knew. This was beautiful and felt accepted and integrated. Thank you both for the experience and expansion.
Okay.
Kathy says, thank you. And another person, Gracilia, says, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Kathy says, I'm vibrating, 3 exclamation points.
Yeah.
Lori says, yay, here, love and appreciate you, Jodi, so much. I am so grateful to you and your work. And so many thanks to everyone involved here. For years, I have tended to draw while experiencing things like this. And I did work on my creation during the light language.
Well, we still have about 28 people on. And Jodi, do you want to tell them about you're doing a special discount for an Akashic reading? Do you still have that going on, and how would somebody get that?
But I'm going to just continue it into this next month. It was for June, but I'm going to continue into July.
Okay.
I normally do an hour reading for $190, and I do an hour and a half for $250, but I'm doing the hour and a half for $227, so that you get a discount. And they're powerful. When I ask you for intentions of what you get out of it, I always cover that plus more. And I do a combination of reading and healing. Usually clear a lot of karma stuff and unravel things, and tapping into your records of your soul through all time, space, and dimensions. So anything that you need to have come forth, and in relation to what they're asking about, but also they just like kind of explain things, and it kind of unravels, and then they zap it out with like a lot of sound. And then the light language is awaken you now to who you are right now in terms of remembering the truth of who you are. And it's all about opening to the heart, opening to love. And I think that's the answer, like in the world. What else is there? We are that, and we are part of everything that exists. The source of all is the open heart, and we're all trying to learn how to open our hearts and feel deeply and trust.
Thank you, Jodi. In fact, I just got a private message here from Graham with a great suggestion. Maybe people are doing this already. He said, ask people to speak from their heart center. That doesn't need the sound vibration to transmit. And perhaps many are doing that and sending their love to you and appreciation as we those of us that do have microphones. Thank you, Graham. Appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
Joan put in the chat that you're going to be a speaker at Portal to Ascension online conference coming up in September.
Yeah, the crystal skull.
Yep.
And you also gave the registration link.
So yes, the Crystal Skull Conference, we've tried to get JoAnn to come with Max, but we have Jodi to come with Greenie, which I think is just as great. We have a few other, I think we have Einstein coming as well. So it's going to be very, very powerful if you're into crystals, the crystal skulls. I'm really learning a lot, Jodi, and the light language. So I think that's going to be a great conference, everyone.
Well, when's that one, Joan?
It's September 3rd.
Okay, so that's part of Portal to Ascension, or is that
that's by Portal to Ascension, and I've been helping producing some events.
Oh, I see.
And I'm actually co-producing Crystal Skulls.
Awesome. Well, you're the perfect person.
Information for it. I'll have to get that from you, Joan. So I can.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Rhonda says, thank you, Jodi and Greenie and all here. I was able to speak the light language. Yay.
Wow.
Rhonda.
It really works. Wow.
I was, mimicking along.
It's really kind of getting at it. It's like when babies just go like, but they're saying something. But the main thing, just in case I didn't fully mention this as much, is when sometimes I would be on a panel and I would do whatever I do, and the person would introduce me and she doesn't know what this means, but she does all this connection to, and I'd be like, I never do anything unless I know what it's for. So I always have an intention, or I've been given an intention. So I never do anything like this haphazardly, ever. So that's always directed for the highest good of all. So I'm just going to stay in that.
Yeah. That's a good place to stop.
Wonderful.
Thank you, everyone.
For an amazing and wacky evening.
It's always exciting with these two.
Highly energetic. Thank you so much.
Okay, but at least we were able to hear her, and it wasn't